all the winners own their own homes, and all the winners were 45 years or older for 15 years in a row. Now, what do we know as intelligent individuals? That chance has no profile. Chance has no pattern. Chance could have never delivered these statistics. 27 different age groups were denied any chance of winning this game for 15 years in a row. And what we're saying in the book is that this is the Achilles heel, that this is the way that we can track the involvement of supernatural beings in mere mortal affairs. Now, we're talking about an invisible subject because heaven is a society for souls, just like on earth is a society for the mere mortals. Okay? We have to approach this like homicide investigators or FBI. We have to start looking for evidence if we really believe that God is involved in our day-to-day affairs. And this is the key to realizing that somebody is deciding who wins the money. Okay, did you want to go to the guest?
No, keep going. Okay. I wanted to ask you about this.
Okay, now, what the book will tell you and what the book will prove to you is this. The structure of God, the way it looks in 1997. Okay, now Jesus Christ, when he got to heaven, okay, he was given the torch of active God over earth. This information isn't found nowhere but this particular show and nowhere but in my book. This is information that you don't have. The same way you didn't have information about the Wright brothers' plane could fly. The same way when Christopher Columbus talked about the world was round. The same way Alexander Graham talked about building the telephone. The same way Moses tried to tell the Hebrew about he could part the Red Sea. The popular belief was, I can't believe it because I don't already know it. But intelligent people are driven by accurate information. And everything I'm talking about, I can prove. If you go into the book and work from the basis of the assassination of Martin. Now, this is what the book was going to tell you. That Jesus was given a 5,000-year reign by his Father as ruler over planet Earth. And Jesus already ruled 2,600 years. He's only got 2,400 years left. Jesus rules the sun. That's his stationary position. Just like Clinton's stationary position is the White House. Jesus' mother, Mary, who everyone believes really wasn't treated very well by God when she lived on earth in terms of being rewarded for the duties that she'd done for God. Mary was installed a God when she got to heaven. The same way as on a small scale, Ford was selected a president by Nixon on a very small scale, but it's the same kind of analogy. Mary rules the moon. Now, this is the first stop you go when you die. This is called by Jesus and the supernatural beings the city of Trevors. I can prove this. This is the Virgin Mary's stationary position in heaven. Okay? You're going to get all this information out of the book. This is the only place in the world that this information can be obtained. We have 10 days to examine the entire supernatural conversation. Is there anything else?
No, I think that does it well. Let me remind our viewers that if you're just joining us, Jerome Smith is my guest. He has written a book, Breaking God's Code, and he's here to talk about it. Not only is he here, but we have 4 guests in the studio who have read the book also. A gentleman by the name of Steve Craig has read the book, and Steve, can you verify much of what the author has said about the book? Did you find it interesting reading?
Good evening, Art.
Good evening.
I read the book completely from cover to cover, and the things that I read, they are so amazing, and they're so overpowering that they can't be just coincidental situations. I'm in my second reading of it so that I can absorb it a lot better.
That good, huh?
Yeah. There are so many different things in it within the 200 pages that end up reinforcing themselves as far as to the actual fact that there is a code that has been broken that is speaking to us in ways that we'll be able to tell the present as well as also the future so that we can understand, God's hand in it. In the instance as far as to Pastor Martin Luther King, it was really surprising as well as also scary. But it was definitely, strong words that were, black and white, factual, just undisputable.
Okay.
7 different papers, 7 different writers, 7 different puzzles. And of course, we know as far as to the Lord's Word, 7 is the perfect number.
Okay.
So there was too many things to reassure it that just, it moved me very strongly.
Steve, thank you very much. I appreciate your comments. That adds some validity to the book. Jim Boyle has read the book. Now, Jim, I understand that you have not read the book completely, but you've read portions of the book. What are your impressions?
Well, my impression, I told you when I was here before that I'm not a terribly religious man. So I'm not looking at it from the religious point. It's just that there is the gods that are talking to each other. It isn't like you're hearing it from Dan Rather or something on television every night. It's mysteriously, and it's hard to explain how such a thing can come into print that much late. And when it talks about Dean Martin on Christmas Day and all the names of Dean and the surprisingly things that happened, almost predictable from that date and time.
Jim, we have about 2 minutes left. You believe then that there's some validity to the book?
Yes, certainly. You would have to, when you read it and you could see what would happen.
Okay.
It isn't like it's predicting things because when they predict things that are written down, you don't know it till it happens.
Okay.
This was written before and it happened during.
All right.
So you know that that's correctly what was predicted.
All right.
They couldn't be talking about it about anybody else. But,
Jim, thank you very much. I appreciate your comments and your verification of the book. Mandy is also a guest. Andy, would you, I understand that you have read the book. Tell me, what is your impression? And we have about 1.5 minutes left.
Me and my mother read the book at the same exact time. I believe that the crossword puzzle, that was my main interest in the whole book. I believe that the code was broken. I believe that the whole crossword puzzle was about Martin Luther King, his assassination.
Okay. All right, man. Thank you very much.
Welcome.
And last guest is Charmaine Johnson. Charmaine, you told me that you read the book.
Yes, I also read the book. I read it with my whole family read the book. And I believe pretty much the same thing she does. My main interest was in the crossword puzzle. And I just believe that I just believe his whole theory really net.
You believe? I see. All right. Well, Charmaine, thank you very much. Appreciate your being here. So I guess, Jerome, perhaps there is some legitimate. These 4 individuals, I'm assuming, represent a very small percentage of the masses who have read or who will read the book. In the 30 seconds we have left, where can the book be purchased?
Well, you can...
How can they get the book? What's the...
I'm going to show you how you can get the book right now.
All right.
You can send your communiques about purchasing the book to Post Office Box 11328, St. Paul, Minnesota 55111.
All right.
Okay.
Well, why don't you repeat that for us?
Once again, you can just write a letter, make it out to the code, to Post Office Box 11328, St. Paul, Minnesota 55111.
All right. Well, there you have it. From the author himself, Jerome Smith, author of Breaking God's Code, the book. Let me thank you, Jerome, for coming again as my guest. Thank you very much, and good luck in your sale of the book.
And I will give anyone who reads the book or buys the book their money back if they don't believe a code has been broken.
All right.
And this is the first glimpse that mere mortals get about where you go when you die, if what I'm saying is true. If you believe in the Bible, then you automatically believe that God can achieve the feat of supernatural telepathics to get a mere mortal to indicate what God wants indicated in writing. And I'm basically trying to show you where God has done this again. The same way Christopher Columbus tried to tell the mainstream of people that the world was round. The same way the Wright brothers tried to tell the mainstream of people that they could build a flying machine. The same way when Thomas Edison talked about lighting up a whole room. This is what is said on the 8th, the most important day of this entire book. City on the Trevors, get going, do more, is obligated, beautiful maiden, in parentis. Martin Luther King, unbeknownst to the American public until today, was the Virgin Mary's, after she had got to heaven and was installed of God by David, Jesus' father, perhaps the biggest mystery of the Bible, Martin was conceived of God from heaven. Martin is Jesus' supernatural brother. Martin is the sixth son of God. The book talks about this, and the book can prove this. Now, how do we know, what has happened to let us know that Martin's something significant about Martin in terms of Martin's relationship to God? 1994, January the 17th, Northridge, California, earthquake. 61 dead, the magnitude of 6.8. That was Martin Luther King's holiday. That was 3 years ago. 1995, the following year, January 17th, Kobe, Japan, another earthquake. Death toll 5,502, magnitude 7.2. That was also Martin Luther King's holiday. Okay? The Achilles heel and the weak link to the involvement of the supernatural beings in the mere mortal affairs is the American lottery. Now, what we want to do to track this down, to be perfectly sure that this ain't a whole bunch of rhetoric, is use our common sense. We want to go back to 1990. We want to approach this like a tax audit. We don't care what's happened in 91, 92, 93, 94, 95, 96, 97. Forget about that. We come to audit you for what you've done in 1990. Okay, the Megabuck Lotto started. The first online game was played in New Jersey in 1975. It was a pick 3. The game is now being played in 38 states. The Megabuck Lotto from 1975 to 1990, 15 years in a row, the same pattern, the same profile, all the winners, none of them had a police record. All of them owned their own homes, and all of them was 45 years or older. Chance has no pattern, chance has no profile, chance could have never denied 27 different age groups for 15 straight years.
Jerome, tie that into breaking God's code, Martin Luther King, all of that.
Okay. What we have to realize as intelligent individuals is this. We're talking about an invisible subject that you're never going to be able to see, just like if we're talking about oxygen. So what we have to do is approach this like FBI or homicide investigators, like the OJ trial. We've got to start looking for evidence. If indeed you believe in God, what is God doing vis-a-vis to mankind? And this is what the book shows you and tells you. The book is going to tie together so much circumstantial evidence till there can be only one conclusion. Clearly, we know that the people in the 38 states who have this game could care less who won.
Only one conclusion. What's that conclusion?
The conclusion is that it's supernatural involvement. And the two supernatural beings who were involved in terms of 1968 in the telepathic conversation for 10 days is Jesus and his mother Mary.
But Jerome, there are a couple of people here who have read the book, I believe.
Yeah, there's more than a couple of people here.
Okay, I'd like to have one or perhaps even two of those individuals step to the mic and give their analysis of the book. Jim Boyle, would you step to the mic and tell us, have you read the book?
Yes, I have read the book, and it's very.
What do you think?
Well, there's certainly a lot of circumstances there that undeniably there's the God is talking to somebody. I don't know who. I don't even know why.